Welcome to the Songwriter Connection, the podcast that delves deep into the art and heart of songwriting. Each week, we gather around the dining room table to uncover the stories behind the songs. We invite you to join us on a journey to the creative minds of the songwriters who shape the melodies of our lives. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Hey, so happy that you joined us today. This guest I have today was the fourth guest we ever had on this show, way back. That was not quite before. It wasn't BC before COVID, but we were struggling with the after effects and things.
We were.
We were at a safe distance with you, the show, and all the shows prior to that, the other three were all done on Zoom because we couldn't get in the same room with each other. But here we are. And you've come a long way, Greg Wilson.
Hey, Dave Lenahan, how are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you been?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you again.
I don't get to run into you as much because you're one busy dude, aren't you?
I am one busy dude doing one thing or the other. Before we get started, let me brag on you a little bit, man. How much this podcast has taken off. You should be very proud, man.
I feel good about it. Thank you very much.
I was honored to be one of the first ones you had on there, and man, you've just taken off and blown this thing up, and kudos to you, my friend.
We've got some good promoters out there that help us, get the word around. So you're amazing. You're not playing as much out anymore, but you are writing more than ever, aren't you?
I'm writing a lot. I've condensed my life down to, I do play out still quite a bit, but not as much as I was. When I first came to town, I was playing probably 5-6 nights a week and all
Getting
that.
it out there.
And everybody does that when you come to town. You should do that. Get out and meet people and write as much as possible and play as much as possible.
That's how you build your tribe. That's how you network.
And you're right. Once you find that tribe, you kind of start, kind of bringing things down to those people and just working with those people. But I've been writing like crazy, man.
That's awesome.
I'm working full time again, but I'm not letting it affect my writing at all. I wrote 7 songs since last week. So,
how do you do it, my friend?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I've got a very understanding wife, that's for sure. So,
Michelle is amazing.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle. I haven't seen you in a long time. Miss you. Miss your face.
She's a sweetheart for sure.
Yeah. When you were on the last show that you were on, you had a song, and you probably still play it around called "Strings Attached."
I do. Yeah.
It always hit me in the heart.
Yeah. That was the first song that I wrote when I came to town. It was a solo write.
Really?
Yeah, Michelle and I, we had just come to town, and I was out, and we were at the Freak Show on a Wednesday night, and I was sitting in the audience and listening to all the writers, and I looked at her and I said, we might want to move back to Louisville. I don't think I belong here.
Oh, baloney.
But something happened that night, and that idea came to me, and I said, we got to go. And she says, well, we're not going back to Louisville now, are we? And I said, no, I've got an idea. So we went home, and the next day she went to Florida with her girlfriends and was gone for a week, and I worked on it for 2 days. And our buddy Greg Matthews was the first person to hear the song. He came over and
love Greg.
Yeah. But
could use your prayers right now, folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good guy. Fun guy.
One of the best.
The mayor, as we call him. So what else have you been up to, man?
Just writing, man.
Writing.
In my previous life, I was an educator. I was a teacher and a head football coach and a principal. Then I retired and came to Nashville and writing songs and meeting people, and then took a full-time teaching job again last year, and been doing that for the last 2 years.
Wow.
And it's funny, soon after I took that job last year, I signed with Steve Block, and so...
Steve Block.
Yeah, so I've been writing for him, and, it's not been a day off since then, pretty much. Just working
he keeps
full-time.
You busy, yeah.
Keeps me busy, and just, writing a lot and working, and just, I don't know.
Now, Steve Block has been on this show. If you're looking past... in our archives, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Pretty good guy. Song plugger.
He's okay. He's all right.
And his lovely wife, Holly. I love her.
She's a sweetheart. Now, Steve's become a good friend of mine, a mentor, and he's a good dude, man.
And he loves baseball like me. So if you didn't hear the first Greg Wilson episode, and which was season 1, we were doing seasons at the time, and episode 4, Greg grew up in a very musical family.
I did.
You did, huh? You were, like, your dad was a heck of a guitar player.
My dad was, like you said, I grew up in a musical family. My dad was an old thumb picker, like Chet Atkins, but more like Merle Travis.
The Travis Pickens style.
Yeah, Travis Pickens style, yeah.
Which is a trick.
It really is, yeah.
Did you ever learn that?
I tried. I had it for a little bit, but unless you stick with it.
Oh, you got to.
But yeah, I just realized that I think my gifts are probably more in songwriting than trying to do that. You know, it's like chewing gum and walking at the same time. I have a hard time doing that.
Yeah. So I can never play drums. Pedal steel. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, my dad was a fabulous guitar player. My uncle, a great singer and rhythm player. My grandfather was a fiddle player. My other uncle played steel guitar. So, I mean, they honestly were good enough to be on the Grand Ole Opry.
No kidding.
Yeah, that good. But, you know, duties before dreams, you know, they had...
Life happens,
you know. So I'm trying to. That's one reason why I'm so involved in music. I want to carry on their legacy. You know, they didn't get a chance to make their mark, and I'm trying to make it for them.
They still with us? Your dad? And your
No,
mom?
my dad passed away over 20 years ago.
20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now, did you grow up in Louisville?
I did. I grew up in Louisville. I spent my entire childhood there, and went away for college to Western Kentucky and Bowling Green, and then I came back home and started a family and teaching career, and then you know, things happened, life happens, and then just ended up moving to Nashville about 5 years ago.
Now, but you did it smart, and I want to talk about that. So music has always been a part of what you did, no matter what your full-time gig was.
Yeah.
But you did it smart. I mean, what some people, we caution people all the time, they want to chuck their career and just move to Nashville on a dream, right? Which is not the way to do it. You and I were very similar. You worked with NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association International. I did in Cincinnati, you did in Louisville.
Yes.
And you would make trips to Nashville.
Right.
Testing the waters, and did it right, didn't you?
Exactly, yeah. I do not encourage anybody to quit their job and move to Nashville. I don't want to be pessimistic or kill anyone's dreams, but I don't want you to come here and starve to death either.
No.
You know, back in the day, I know a lot of people said never have a plan B, but you better have a plan B now, because the music industry is so hard. It's so hard to make a living. You can do it, but man, it's hard, and it's always a good idea to have something to support you. So. You
could be the most talented person. I mean, sing, you know, play, and just, you know, shoot out the lights with what you do. And it takes more than that today. You may be the biggest thing in your hometown, right?
Exactly.
And you may be the kind of artist that could be, you know, a hit, you know, a big star.
Exactly.
But it takes more than that.
It takes more than that. The stars have to align, man. You have to know people, and you just have to get lucky, you know, and you have to have that work ethic and never give up, and just hopefully, you know, things fall in place for you. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they do.
Talk about work ethic. Yeah. Talk about it.
You've got to have work ethic. You know, I carry on, you know, in my previous career as an educator, you know, I carried that into my philosophy of songwriting. You know, I show up on time, you know, you put the effort in, you do your homework. Before you go into a write, you know who you're writing with, you know their styles. Especially if you're working with artists, you want to go back and listen to, you know, what they're looking for. It's, you know, it's just being smart about things. But I try to carry that work ethic from, you know, growing up and working in the school system to writing songs as well.
Hard work pay off?
Yeah, it is. You know, it's a slow burn in this business. You know, you meet people, and I was fortunate, like I said earlier, to meet Steve and make some connections through him, and writing with a lot of, you know, cool artists and stuff, and just keep plugging away, man.
Yeah, that's it. You got to. There's no shortcuts, right?
There are no shortcuts. No.
It doesn't happen. Why don't you share one of your new songs with us? You are an amazing writer. Do you have let me ask you the question that I hate. How do you describe the music that you write and play? What's your...
Recently, I want to write something that's going to make you feel something, whether that be cry, whether that be laugh, whether that be think about something, you know, be thankful for the life that you have. It always has some kind of a twist or something in it. You know?
You're very good at that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. What you gonna play for us?
I'll do a new song.
Under the Hood. Now you got to tell us how it all.
Well, this is actually was born at a writing retreat down in Florida last summer.
Wow.
I met some people at another writing retreat out in Murfreesboro, and from that got invited to come down to Florida.
Wow.
Some really cool people. Billy McDowell, you may know Billy. He and Heather Hickox put on this writing retreat, and so they put you in different rooms with people. And so I had this idea that I carried around for a while, and it was an idea about, you look at a picture And there's so much more than just what you see in that picture.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had this idea called You Can't Fit That in a Frame.
Oh.
And so...
Love it. Love it right now, and I ain't even heard it.
So... Found a photo in the attic of my mama and my daddy on their wedding day. Smiles on their face. Daddy in his uniform and mama just as pretty as a princess in her hand-me-down dress. It's just a moment in time. There's so much more than meets the eye. Every picture's worth 1,000 words, but there's so much there that can't be heard, like the love, the joy, the pain, the hurt. Now starting out takes hard work, all the sacrifices you can't see. Working 2 jobs and baby made 3, all the life and living memories they would make. No, you can't fit that in a frame.
Wait a minute,
There was never a quiet moment with dogs and kids running around all through the house. Christmas morning and Sunday dinners, blowing out candles and birthday wishes, broken bones and stitches, all the years measured in inches. Every picture's worth 1,000 words, but there's so much more that can't be heard, like the love, the joy, the pain, the hurt. Raising 5 kids takes hard work, all the sacrifices you can't see. But they made sure we had all we needed, and God knows how many prayers they must have prayed. No, you can't fit that in a frame. Oh, they set the bar high for me and my wife, so one day our kids can look back and say, every picture's worth 1,000 words, but there's so much more that can't be heard, like the love, the joy, the pain, the hurt. How forever takes hard work, all the sacrifices you can't see. My God, what a legacy, all the life and living and memories they made. It take a panoramic view to see the world we made. You can't fit that in a frame.
My goodness, that's something. You know, Greg Wilson, I've always considered you a songwriter. You're just amazing.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Every song just blows you away.
I appreciate that.
Really
Thank
good
you.
stuff.
Thank you.
I want to talk about your unique style. You know, we talk a lot about what we have in the past, mentioned open tunings,
Yes.
and how it's really good sometimes just to get out of the box sometime and create. And you write in what we call dadgad.
It's dadgad, yes.
You tune the E to a D and the bottom string to a D. And,
Right.
And it's D-A.
G-A-D. Yeah.
G-A-D, dadgad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I found that tuning to be inspiring to me. It gives you a different tone. It's got Irish elements in it, you know.
It does.
Yeah. But for so many years, I just played standard tuning or drop D tuning. And then I just started experimenting with, you know, the dadgad. And people hear me play like, you're a really good guitar player. I'm like, really not. You know, it's all the tuning, to be honest with you. Yeah. But, you know, I write probably 90% of my songs in dadgad. So, yeah.
90%?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Do you fall into the same patterns, do you feel? Or?
Sometimes you do, you know. Yeah, you have to be careful of not, you know, I guess, creating the same melody over and over. But it kind of opens up to a lot of different opportunities and stuff. And
I think so too. And I think what's important is, I've known guys, Gary Chapman, who's on the show recently, says, I'm in drop D all the time. My buddy Tim Skeen, who was from Cincinnati, one of the great songwriters in Cincinnati. Again, you couldn't get him out of drop D. I mean, that was it. But you know what? The thing is, what I feel is wherever you feel the most creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong, right?
No.
Yeah,
that's true.
And so that lights you up and inspires you, right?
It does, yeah. I've been playing with with DADGAD tuning for about the last 5 years. When I came to Nashville was when I really started doing it.
I think everything I've done with you was
probably so. Yeah,
I'd had to convert.
Yeah, and I always kind of drive my co-writers nuts, and they're like, "What chord are you playing?" Like, I really don't know.
I don't
to be honest with you.
It does this,
It just sounds like this. So.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So I am a hack for sure, but it's fun. So.
No, it is, and it gives you that great sound. It really does.
Yeah.
You know what else I wanted to talk to you about? One of the things we talk about on this show was how you define success. You have really clear-cut goals, don't you? Like you've thought about it. You know what your future holds.
Well, I hope I know what my future holds. I know what I wanted to hold. When I came to town, I wanted to learn as much about songwriting as I possibly could. I've been coming to town for quite some time. Even when I was working back in Louisville, I would make the trips and play the Bluebird on Sunday night and get up and drive home and get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work. But coming to town, I want to write number one songs. I want to have songs on the radio just like everybody else. Is that ever going to happen? Who knows? But unless you set that bar high, you're never going to get close to it. But I just want to write songs ultimately that mean something to somebody, that maybe will change their life or make them think or, just make life better for them.
Love that. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is every now and then I'll follow you on the socials. I follow you on the socials.
Right.
Every now and then you'll have a picture of the Grand Ole Opry stage, the circle, and you go manifest,
Yeah.
Tell us about that philosophy.
Well, it actually comes from my daughters. They say, put out into the universe what you want to happen, And
Law of attraction, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I started doing that. And that's kind of a bold thing to do, because some people are like, what are you talking about? You're never going to play the Grand Ole Opry. What are you talking about? Maybe I won't, but, unless you put it out there, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a really good example, and you probably know Ryan Larkins, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Ryan Larkins,
fabulous.
One of the great writers in this town. First time I ever saw him was at Commodore, and he just blew me away. And now today, he plays the Grand Ole Opry, and he's got a record deal, and he's got great music out there.
Absolutely.
So it can happen a songwriter, right?
It can happen, exactly. And that's one thing you say for a songwriter. That it makes it tougher for a songwriter to actually do it unless you're an artist. Mm-hmm. You really need to be a singer-songwriter performing, I think. I've spent a lot of time just being a writer, and I'm getting ready to turn that corner, I think, and start doing some stuff, as we mentioned earlier before the show started. Start doing some stuff as an artist. So I think you have a better shot of getting on the Grand Ole Opry as an artist, I think. But
I do too, and we've had a lot of people who made their debut on the Opry and also been on this show. People like Claire Cunningham.
Wow, yeah,
and other. There's been others,
yes.
and the Davison brothers, who I love those guys, and others. So I don't think it's impossible,
right?
But I think if you're an artist, you do have an advantage,
right?
And I've been feeling the same way lately. So I've been recording, and I'm about to do my second coming out this year. And I think, why not? I mean, you got good songs. I mean, I know I'm not the greatest singer in the world. You are. You've got a great voice.
You are very good, Dave.
But I think the songs are strong, so I'll put them out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to get anybody else to cut your material anymore. So, if you can write the best songs and they can sit on the shelf forever, and nobody's ever going to hear them. So, that's a decision that I'm making. I'm going to start getting my stuff out there.
I am glad to hear that, because I want to hear more Greg Wilson. Who knows? Maybe you get one of those on the radio.
Maybe so. You never know. That's the hope.
You never know. The nice thing about the music business today is there is a lot of outlets for it.
Exactly.
It used to be, when I was growing up, it was radio. It was pretty much it. If you weren't on the radio,
right?
But today there's a lot of things on the internet. There's there's Spotify and there's YouTube, and I don't know at this point where we're going to be with TikTok because we're recording this before the mandate for them to shut down. But I'm sure something else will pop up and take its place. Right. So there's a lot of ways to get seen and heard and go from there. Yeah,
TikTok. Tomorrow could be the deadline for it. Yeah. We'll see what happens, but. I do have mixed feelings about TikTok. I think the record companies have relied very heavy. Some, not all. Some have relied heavy more on people's TikTok followers and all that, and kind of use it as an A&R kind of thing. Which okay, yeah. But for that independent artist, man, it's been such an outlet. I put song "Wake Up Call" that I wrote a couple years ago.
A great song, and if you listen to our episode past. We tell that story, but go ahead.
Yeah, I put it on TikTok and got like a couple of million views. And
Did you really?
Yeah, it was crazy. And I'd never gone viral before, so I would sit and just read the comments from people and just cry. Cool. The stuff that they would say and comment and what the song actually meant to them. It was like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a great song.
Yeah.
You know what? This is crazy, but I think, I want to hear it again. Okay. Would you play it for us?
I will. Let me.
The Wake Up Call. And it's a great story.
Yeah, I wrote this with...
This opened doors for you, too.
It has. It actually introduced me to Steve Block, and I wrote this with my good friends Bill O'Hanlon, who's a great writer in his own right, and Miss Michelle Canning, who's a wonderful writer.
Michelle's amazing.
Sweetheart. And we were writing almost every other Sunday on Zoom, and this one particular day, we always come to the right, and everybody's got an idea, and we kind of type our ideas in the doc and all that. And I think Michelle was up in Boston at the time, and Bill was out in Santa Fe. And I had this idea for a song. There's nothing unique about this title whatsoever. And it was called Wake Up Call. And I think I heard my wife in a conversation. I just wrote it down because, as songwriters, we're always writing down ideas and all that stuff. And so I brought it out, and we decided, let's write that song. And initially it started off being a story about like a businessman out on a trip, whatever, and he's away from home too long, and his son calls him, and he gets this wake up call. Where do you think the song would go to?
Right. But with lots of great Greg Wilson songs, there's always a twist.
There's a twist. So we just kept digging at it, and I said, have you ever gotten a phone call from like an elderly person who knows they've got the wrong number, but they'll continually talk to you because they're lonesome? Mm-hmm. They said, yeah. And then we kept digging at it, and I said, what about a story about a little boy who's at home by himself or has a sick parent at home by himself and doesn't know what to do for help? And this thing just kind of took off, and I sat up until like 4 o'clock in the morning working on this. And Michelle and Bill and myself have worked on it quite a bit, and a lot of help from Steve Block as well.
It's a masterpiece, folks.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're going to love this.
It's called Wake Up Call. My phone rang at 2 a.m. from a number I didn't recognize. When it rang again, I answered it, and a little voice just said hi. He said, I didn't know your number, so I just took a guess. 'Cause the man on the TV said you can always call on Jesus. Well, that caught me by surprise. I sat up in my bed. He thought heaven was on the other end, so I just listened when he said, Jesus, I'm so scared, and I'm so glad you're there. I've been holding on to my teddy bear. I've been saying all my prayers. He said, I keep shaking Mama, but she won't wake up at all. And I knew that you would help us, 'cause you're the man up on the cross. There's an empty bottle by her head and some red pills on the floor. He said, I've been eating Captain Crunch, but there isn't any more. And as his little voice was trembling, My heart was breaking inside. I didn't know what else to do, so I spoke like Jesus was on the line, and I said, I know you're scared, but buddy, I'm right here. Keep holding on to your teddy bear. I've heard all your prayers, and everything's gonna be okay. Don't you worry at all. I'm sending someone to help you, but until then, let's just talk. Well, I copied down his number. My wife dialed 911 in tears. And when he heard them knocking on his door, he said, Jesus, I think your angels are here.
Wow.
And I hit my knees. Lord, I've been living scared, like I haven't had a prayer. It's been a while since I've talked to you. Almost forgot that you were there. But tonight you woke me up. I've been asleep for way too long. I felt your spirit move right through me, and Jesus, I stand in awe. It took a scared little boy's random late night call. Oh, but maybe it wasn't random after all. God, I woke up when I got that wake up call.
Wow. Right? Oh, my. You know, there's a lot of lessons in this song. First of all, I want to tell you, there are certain songs that I know exactly where I was when I first heard. And we were at a picking party, Charles and Janet are good friends. Yeah. And you were telling me about, you said, I think I got a good song, you know, and you were struggling what to do with it at the time.
Right.
And you played it for us around their table.
Right.
You know, kind of like we do right now, this dining room table, live music. And I heard it about fell off the chair. And I'm like, oh, my God, if you give up one dime of your publishing on this, you're nuts. People are going to fight to record. That's an amazing, amazing song. But here's the thing. That was a different version from what you play now. So I guess what I'm saying is, I've heard it a million times, and it really must be true that it's not writing, it's the rewriting, isn't it?
They say good songs are written where great songs are rewritten.
There you go.
Yeah. That's the old adage. Yeah.
This
thing has been rewritten quite a bit.
Yeah.
A lot of people have listened to it. We haven't gotten anybody to bite the bullet yet. We've got it, gotten it in front of a few people. Garth actually listened to it.
Did he?
He actually called us back.
Did he really?
Called Steve and I back and said, I love this song. He said, this is a fabulous song, but this is not a Garth song.
Yeah.
He said, somebody's going to cut it and it's going to be fabulous, but it won't be me. But this song is so good, I give you all permission to send me anything you want, and I'll listen to it personally.
How about that?
Now, whether Garth means that or not, he's such a super nice guy. So, but at least he said that.
But he seems sincere.
He does, yeah. And then Jelly Rolls Camp has heard it a couple of times, but they haven't done anything with it. And then recently, I can't remember who else listened to it. There's been several people listen to it, but nobody has bitten the bullet. And so it's just one of those songs. It may take 4 or 5 more years, or it may never ever get cut. I don't know. But I have no control over that. I just write it and go on with it. So
sounds like you're in the right places, though.
Yeah,
I could hear any one of those artists doing that song.
Yeah, it would be life changing. So
I think it would be a hit. I think it would rise to the top. Yeah. I really do.
If anything else, like I said, those comments that I got back from TikTok, hearing people how the song, resonated with them. People, saying that they had considered adopting foster kids, and they heard the song and they'd been on the fence, but then they heard the song and they made the decision to do so.
See, for me, that's payday.
It really is. It really is. People. Not that this has anything to do with someone committing suicide, but one lady sent me a personal message and she said, I almost gave up the night before last until I heard this song. Oh. I'm like, wow. I sat in my recliner and just cry. Listen to that,
I bet. I would too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's going to go beyond that, though. I really do. I've got
We'll
hopes.
see. I appreciate that.
We're going to take a brief break. Greg Wilson is our guest. This is a Songwriter Connection.
You're listening to The Songwriter Connection with Dave Linehan. Find us on Facebook and YouTube at The Songwriter Connection Podcast. And find Dave at thedaveconnection.com. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
Hey, we're on all the socials, X, Instagram, Facebook. There's a Facebook page dedicated just to the Songwriter Connection Podcast. You can find us there. We love your comments. We love your suggestions. And if you're watching on YouTube, because we're there as well, please click like and subscribe. And really appreciate it. Would help us a lot. Greg Wilson is our guest from Louisville. We called him the Louisville Slugger in our last episode. He's swinging, man. He's swinging for the fences.
Swinging for the fences.
I think he's got some hits there.
A lot of foul balls. But.
Yeah. Well, that one you just played for us, I think that's well, you connected on that. It's a home run.
Well, I appreciate that.
We'll see where that
it means
goes.
a lot coming from you, man. You're a fabulous songwriter in your own right, man. So
stop. Thank you for lowering your standards for me. I appreciate you, man.
I've been in the room with you many times. You're one of the best here in town.
Yeah, I hope to do that again.
We need
absolutely.
to. Yes.
We've written some cool songs together.
We have.
But you've got a whole new tribe now. Tell me some of the people you've been writing with. You've been writing with some interesting people.
I have, yeah. Most recently, wrote with the Swan Brothers.
Swan Brothers. They were like, what was it? The Voice?
The Voice with Blake, yeah.
With Blake.
And then they went on and did some stuff with Blake, and I made the connection with them through a friend of mine from out in Oklahoma City, a guy named Charlie Mangus, and his wife is cousins with them, and so somebody always knows somebody. So I was able to get in the room with them, and we wrote a pretty cool song.
That's cool.
Then been writing with Rory of Ryan and Rory. They just got signed to Broken Bow. They got signed to Broken Bow.
Big time.
Yeah, so wrote with some songs with Rory, and haven't heard anything back from it yet. But it's just a slow burn. You just you kind of climb the ladder a little bit and get knocked back and just keep on going though. But yeah, some of my favorite writers in town. Mr. Hallowdell and Zach Hennard and.
Zach, just played with Zach a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw Zach last night. Yeah,
he's doing really well.
He is.
Come a long way, man.
He is.
His performance was fantastic.
Yeah, he's really coming into his own. Yeah,
and has been at the Bluebird a few times.
He has. Yeah.
Another guy, you guys would write with, you and Hal and Zach with Ben Jarrell.
Yeah.
And Ben. Man, he's been getting rave reviews. I'm from Songwriter Magazine, from Saving Country.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that real traditional kind of country, which I think is making quite the comeback.
Yeah, he's a Waylon throwback for sure.
He is. Man.
Yeah.
Love the guy. He's been on the podcast.
You've had a cut with him too, right? A Hole in the Sky.
A Hole in the Sky.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the reason that I think you couldn't make the right that day, or did you? Was it me, you, and
no, I wasn't on that right now.
You couldn't make it, so they said, "Well, we'll get a pitch shooter in there," and they felt sorry for me.
Yeah, right.
He did sax boat, and we wrote it, and man,
Ben's doing some great stuff. I mean,
he really is.
It's traditional stuff, and I mean, he's kind of doing his own thing.
He is, isn't he? Yeah. Good. I'm happy for him. Oh, yeah. Proud of you guys. I really am. Yeah.
Right back at you, man.
Yeah. So let's hear another song, man, because I want to hear some of this new stuff you're doing. I really do.
Well, this is not so much one that matters. I do have a little bit of hillbilly in me.
A little bit.
And I wrote this song. This was also written down at that writing retreat in Florida. I wrote this with my buddy Duran Robinson. Duran's from out of Birmingham, Alabama, and a young lady by the name of Julie Reiner. And then
I like Julie. She's so sweet.
Lady from Canada, Carrie DeMeyer. And we wrote this. I had this idea called So Far, So Good.
So Far, So Good.
So Far, So Good. So... I'm barely around the corner. There's a message on my phone. She's already calling, said you'll never make it on your own. But the sun's still shining, and the sky ain't falling down. Mile marker 47, but I'm still feeling fine. I got tired of all her bullshit, so I finally drew the line. 1,000,000 miles between us, never be enough. She told me to leave and thought I never would. So far, so good. Got the windows down, ain't turning round. Got 1,000 pounds of lifting off my chest. Can't tell you where I'm going yet, but it's as far away from her as I can get. I got these horses running wild beneath my hood. So far, so good. I might stop off in the Rockies. Hell, I might head for the coast. I'd sail across the 7 seas if this pickup truck could float. The sun's still shining and the sky still ain't falling down. Well, let the road rise up to meet me, knock on wood. So far, so good. I got the windows down, ain't turning around. Got 1,000 pounds left it off my chest. Can't tell you where I'm going yet, but it's as far away from her as I can get. I got these horses running wild beneath my hood. So far, so good. Well, the hardest part of leaving was just pulling out the drive. But every mile that passes, I feel so much more alive. I got the windows down, ain't turning round. Got 1,000 pounds left in on my chest. I can't tell you where I'm going yet, but it's as far away from her as I can get. I got these horses running wild beneath my hood. She told me to leave and thought I never would. So far, so good.
Oh, I love it, man. I'll tell you, what a groove. And you got to have those up-tempo songs when you're playing. You do. Yeah. Your ballads will, slay them, but the up-tempo gets the groove and
exactly.
Gets head bobbing a little bit. There you go.
That was a fun write that day.
Oh, man. Sounds like you had a blast.
We did. It was cool.
Yeah, and what I like is you take sometimes you can just take common sayings, like so far so good.
Exactly.
And look, as you did a whole story around it,
Yeah.
So it doesn't always have to have a twist, We wrote one the other day. I was in the room. We wrote, I should probably go. You know what I mean? Think about what you could do with a simple phrase.
Exactly.
Let's talk about where ideas come from. And especially, here's a guy that's writing every single day.
Right.
And, you never seem to run out of ideas.
Well, I'm glad thank you for saying that. But yeah, my antenna is always up, as most songwriters are. I'm always listening. My wife gets on me because sometimes I kind of go silent when we're in a crowd and I'm just listening, And my mind's always going, but
yeah,
anything from, watching television, which I don't get to do very much, and, reading or just, listening to other songwriters, it just, you just pick up stuff, Yeah. Somebody will say something and you're like, how can I turn that phrase? How can I take that phrase and make it something different or whatever, So it's, you're always looking. Antenna's always up.
Always up.
Yeah.
Always
It's
up.
a blessing and a curse,
But you take an idea like that into the room, and you earlier in the show you said you dig a little, you dig a little, you dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to find a different way to. It's like we're trying to find new ways to say old things and set it to music. Right?
Exactly. I don't know this song. I just recorded it, but I haven't played it out yet. But I wrote this idea with the Swan Brothers and Charlie Mangus, and I had this idea called I'd move mountains for you. And when you hear that, everybody's heard that before. I'd do anything for you.
Yeah.
But I thought about that for the longest time and turned it into a story about a guy meeting a girl out in Colorado.
Yeah.
And she's from Tennessee. Yeah.
You recorded a little bit of sign. Was it on Instagram?
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah.
It's great.
So she's in the Smoky Mountains and he's in the Rockies, and he's he quit his job and left everybody behind and said, I told you I'd move mountains for you. So it's pretty cool. It is
a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, there's a phrase, but a little twist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's good. You had a song I also loved, Good Years.
Yeah.
Good years.
Yeah.
About Dad taking son to NASCAR.
Yeah, I wrote that with Stephen Cade and Cody Kelly, actually.
Cody Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that, Good Years has been done quite a bit. That idea, a lot of people have written that, but we turned it into a pretty cool story.
And we weren't talking about wheels, were we?
We weren't. No, not at all. Eventually, we weren't. No.
Was that one you were prepared to play today?
I would have to do my different tuning here. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? We'll move on.
Okay.
We'll move on. You're in your Dadgad right now.
I'm in Dadgad right now. Yeah.
And I'm more interested to hear the new stuff you've been doing.
Okay.
Greg, I never get old. Never get tired of hearing new Greg Wilson cuts.
I appreciate that. I'll play you another one that kind of a spiritual kind of thing. I wrote this with my buddy Hal O'Dell and Big Joe Bazzelli.
Oh, Bazzelli.
Sexy Joe Bazzelli. And
he's also been on the show, and so is Hal. Yeah.
And a guy named Gary Leiter and my buddy Charlie Mangus. Charlie had us out in Oklahoma City. We went out and spent a couple of days and wrote. And one morning we
you did a big show in Oklahoma.
We did. We played the Will Rogers Theater.
Oh my God!
It was really cool. Yeah, it was a cool night. And that same week we all got together and just wrote a few songs. And Gary came in the room with some ideas and about people turning to the wrong things in life for inspiration and direction and advice and stuff. And we kind of sat and talked. And so we wrote this song called Wishing Well. And it's told from the perspective of a wishing well.
Oh, I like that.
I'll try to remember it. Another morning, another penny hits my water. Someone's tired of waking up alone. Then a little girl looks over and drops a faded quarter and hopes her daddy's finally coming home. Well, I hope he does. Too bad I'm just a hole in the ground. Hopeful people looking down, their reflections at the bottom, full of doubts and dreams and problems, but lost they can't let go. Or maybe a truth they're scared to know. Well, only time will tell, but I'm just a wishing well. You could fill me with the tears that hit my water, but a well like me won't ever be enough. But there's one who's always there, the answer to a prayer. So don't look down, it's time for looking up. Oh, he is love. I am just a hole in the ground. Hopeful people looking down, their reflection at the bottom, full of doubts and dreams and problems, lost they can't let go. Maybe a truth they're scared to know. But only time will tell. I'm just a wishing well. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So if you're looking for forgiveness, if you're looking for a witness, if you're up against a hurt too hard to tell, well, I wish you well. Wish you well, but I'm just a hole in the ground. Hopeful people looking down, their reflection at the bottom, full of doubts and dreams and problems, lost they can't let go. Or maybe a truth They're scared to know the one I know. 'Cause he is the answer. He is the answer. And I'm just a wishing well. I'm just a wishing well.
Wow. Greg Wilson with us on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Thanks for sharing your songs and for taking time out of your busy writing schedule. There's so many lessons behind that song that I want. The lesson in the song, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And I want to start with, when I was first doing the show, was a TV show, cable show in Cincinnati called the Nashville Songwriter Connection. Because through NSAI, we used to bring in hit writers.
Right.
And one such writer was Kerry Kurt Phillips, who's one of my favorite writers. And if you Google him, you'll see all the big hits he's had.
Right.
Kerry always used to tell me and preach. He said that he thought the most important line in a song was the line before you deliver the hook.
Yep.
And in that song, that was pretty powerful, Only time will tell.
Yep.
Me, I'm just a wish it will.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I write songs. We always have the hook, and then the next thing that gets written is that setup line. You know, you got to have that setup. You got to have that. I'm sure you do the same thing. You got to have that setup line.
I try to. Doesn't always work that way, but I try to.
Right.
I've known people that have written songs backwards with that. Just doing it. And then what's the logical line that would precede that,
right.
and go from there. That's a good way to start building a chorus if you want.
Exactly,
folks. They're just a tip. The other thing I wanted to mention, this song, you took an inanimate object and you personalized it.
Right.
Personified it is the word.
Right.
You have another song like that called Jewelry Box that I was listening to this morning.
Yes.
You and Michelle wrote together.
We did.
Yeah.
It was written during COVID. Yeah, it was my wife's first and only song she ever co-wrote. She said, "That's too hard and I will never do it again."
Yeah, sometimes when we're pounding our heads against the wall trying to figure, I'll just break the silence and go, songwriting's easy, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it easy? And everybody should be doing it. And you're like,
Well, we were holed up in our apartment at the time. We'd just come to town and COVID had hit. And at the time we were living in Goodlettsville in a little 2-bedroom apartment and didn't have much to do like anybody else. And she said, "Let's write a song." And she'd been throwing out ideas. And I'm like, "No." And she started talking about a jewelry box. I'm like, "No." She said, what about if we tell it from the perspective of the jewelry box? I'm like, "Okay, you got something now, so let's do that." So we wrote it. And she's like, "This is too hard. I'm not doing this again."
I love that idea. And I want to challenge you at home in your songwriting journey. Try to pick something inanimate,
right,
and personify it,
right.
And the way that you chose to do it was you were the wishing well. I am the jewelry box.
Right.
Try that on.
Yeah.
I know a guy who got his publishing deal writing a song from the point of view of a napkin. It was a phone number written down on him.
Yeah.
He was the napkin.
Yeah.
And it was a great song. So try that.
Yeah.
That's your assignment.
It's a cool method. It is. It's cool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's
sometimes it's a push. I'll tell you a good example where it didn't work for us. We wanted to write. I went to the Louisville Slugger Museum.
Right.
And I love baseball. And I thought, I want to write a song from the baseball bat's point of view. And when we started, it was, it was a piece of wood cut from an ash tree in the Catskills, and it floated down to Louisville, and that's how we started it. But we rewrote that song like 4 times, and it ended up being a story of a boy and his bat called Louisville Slugger.
Fabulous song. Fabulous song.
But
maybe your best work, I think, my friend. So.
Yeah. Well, and then Tim Skeen and there were a couple of other Cincinnati writers, and we've recorded it a couple of times. But the whole point was we wanted to try that, and it didn't work for us. It didn't. Right. But it's a good assignment.
It is. It's
experiment with it anyway. Yeah.
Think outside the box a little bit. Yeah.
And so we've talked about 2 ways to get out of the box: an open tuning, a different tuning, personifying something that isn't alive.
Right.
So, cool. Well, what else you been up to? You want to share one more before we go?
I'll do one more with you. I was fortunate to write this with Mr. Scott Sean White.
Oh my God, he's an amazing writer.
He is fabulous. Scott's had some recent success and with Cody Johnson. Yeah. He's doing really well. Scott's out on the road blazing the trail.
Texas guy?
Yeah, he's a Texas guy. Poetry, Texas.
Poetry, Texas.
What a name of a town for a songwriter. Poetry, Texas, huh?
I got to visit that place.
But this is the first time he and I actually got in the room together, and we wrote this with Paige King Johnson. I think Paige was on your
just
show
a few weeks back.
Yeah.
She is so wonderful.
She's
what a talent.
Sweetheart and great talent. She actually made her Opry appearance not too long ago.
Another one
was with Pam Tillis. Yeah.
See, dude, it can happen.
Yeah.
He manifested.
I'm riding people's coattails. But I write a lot of songs about my mama, to be honest with you. I got a song called Mama Was a Hell of a Man.
Mama Was a Hell of a Man. Great song.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this is not as, I guess, so harsh. A little softer. But we were all sitting around talking, and we decided to write a song about our mamas, and it's called That's Mama. So... When I need a good kick in the butt, that's Daddy. When I need a good laugh, that's Uncle Joe. And when I need a recipe, or hear the good Lord speak to me, that's Grandma. And man, I love them all, but when I need or some 3 a.m. kitchen table wisdom, a tender heart that's tough as nails, a hand to hold when I'm going through hell, the grace that I can't seem to give myself, that's Mama. And if a chicken pot pie'll make you feel better, she'll cook it. And if a cuss word will help get the point across, she'll use it. And if there's a mountain in front of me, keeping me from my dream, Lord, she'll move it. Yeah, she'll move it. And when I need or some 3 a.m. kitchen table wisdom, a tender heart that's tough as nails, a hand to hold when I'm going through hell, more grace than I could ever give myself. Oh, that's Mama. Oh, Mama. A secret keeper, a heart healer, and always on your side believer. And when I need an ear to listen, or some 3 a.m. kitchen table wisdom, a tender heart that's tough as nails, a hand to hold when I'm going through hell, more grace than I could ever give myself. The one who loved me before anyone else, that's Mama. Mama.
That's Greg Wilson. Oh, man, what a song.
Thank you, Dave. It means a lot coming from you, my friend.
Oh, my God, I'm telling you. He's a man on the Verge. Remember that name.
I appreciate it.
I'm sure we're going to have you on again, and I look forward to it. And when we do, hopefully you've just stepped off that Grand Ole Opry stage.
Dave, I appreciate your support. You've always been one of the best people here in town. And
oh, God bless you.
You're the salt of the earth, and you won't find many better friends and supporters of songwriters here in Nashville. We all appreciate you so much.
And you have awesome talent, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Here on the Songwriter Connection, folks, right on. I always say, right on.
Right on.
We hope you enjoyed this intimate glimpse into the world of songwriting and found inspiration in the stories shared by our talented guests. Remember, the magic of music lies not only in the notes and chords, but in the emotions and experiences woven into every lyric. Until next time, keep listening, keep creating, and keep the melodies alive.